Hello everyone. Today our topic is fragment. So we don't have any specific goal. So today's curiosity is only to understand not what is fragment, instead how they implemented fragment. So we will spend around same time 20 to 30 minutes and we will see how much we can understand. So I'm sure we will learn something new. So first is there is what I remember, the history, maybe I'm wrong. So I remember when they launched 3.0 Honeycomb, I think it's 2013. At that time they added this fragment first time, and that is a tablet OS. So basically 3.0, 3.1, and I think so 3.2, those OSs are only for tablet specific. And then one day suddenly they launched 4.0, and at that time it's pretty amazing. Like they're saying, okay, so it's not like the 4.0 OS will be running on both devices. It's not specific to tablet, it's for both a mobile phone and tablet. And if I'm not wrong, they deprecated or they absolute the 3.0 version. Like absolute means the version is still there, but after that they did no work on that. So in that case they launched this API fragment, if I'm not wrong, specific to the from the tablet perspective at first, and then after that they launched inside of that. And now in these days we mostly every time we use from Android X, so basically Jetpack library. So what happened, there are two implementation. One is deprecated, which is how to say, again the terminology is pretty difficult for me because I don't understand when to say kernel, when to say platform API. But if we say okay, platform API which is coming with the new OS version, then I will say this fragment is a platform API which is the part of always with that, and you can't, and the team, the Android, they can't upgrade this, they need to send a new OS. But on the other side, the library version, yeah, you can upgrade only by upgrading the library version in your code and you are good to go. So what we will do, we will not focus on a deprecated version, instead we will focus on this one. So we will start from we can read, okay, static library support version of the framework and used to write apps that run on platform prior to Android 3.0. Okay, so they are also saying the same thing. So they, sorry, there's a repetition. What I already discussed with you, when running on Android 3.0 or above, this implementation is still used. It does not try to switch to the frameworks implement. Okay, so the terminology will be, a good terminology is a framework and then the library. So framework implement fragment is already deprecated and the library one is now here. See the framework, and the framework library package is android.app.fragment, and the library one is android x.fragment.app. The main difference when using this support version instead of the framework version are, your activity must extend fragment activity, yes we are aware of that, and you must call get support fragment manager to get the fragment manager, not the get manager fragment manager. So after this theory, we can understand first. Okay, this one is nice, it's first time for me truly saying. Fragment is not extended by any class. It's implementing only the interfaces. Okay, so we can check one by one what are these interfaces. Component callbacks. I remember we saw this in when we are learning about the activity lifecycle, if I'm not wrong. So what is this API call? This set of callbacks API data common to all application components. So application components are activity, fragment, content provider, if sorry, fragment is on, I will not say they are the part of a definition of a component, because the component is only service, content provider, activity, and if I'm not wrong, broadcast receiver also. But they are mentioning only for the application. Okay, you should also implement the component callback to interface, which provides the component callback to on-stream memory callback to help you app manage its memory. Okay, so there are two versions. The naming convention is pretty, oh, in my opinion it's not good, but I don't think you can come with a better name. So basically there are two versions. One is the component callbacks, in which they are giving you the opportunity to understand on configuration changed and on low memory in case of a component callback to. Okay, so basically that is the extension of a component callbacks, and the new interface what they added only a new method on tree memory. Okay, going back, so why not they are implementing component callback 2 here? Maybe fragment, it means now we can understand. So basically fragment are can't work independently, they are always the part of an activity. So if there is a not sorry memory leak, the memory issue, that will be conveyed to the activity, not the fragment, which makes sense because activity is the main kind of a god object or responsible for the UI, and fragment is only the part of the activity, it's a dependent. So that's why I have a feeling they are not notifying to the fragment, hey there is a trim memory so do something. Instead they are notifying to the activity, hey there is a on trim memory, do something. Then what's next on create context venue listener? Okay, this one they are getting from view class. What is this? For a caller to invoke when the context menu for this view is being built. Okay, so it's pretty simple, no need to discuss more. Lifecycle owner we discuss in our last video where we discuss the lifecycle, uh, how the Android Jetpack lifecycle works. So I'm not going to discuss this one. Then view model store owner. Uh, So a scope that owns view model store, a responsibility of an implementation of this interface is to retain on view model store during the configuration changes and call view model store dot clear when the scope is going to be destroyed. So I think for this one we will discuss a separate video where we will discuss where we will explore the view model and all these view model related APIs. Then how has default view model provide, again we will discuss in a separate video. And save state registry owner, a scope that owns save this owner should be passed into create save registry controller object through which this owner can access and perform operations via the controller. Yeah, this one also we will wait for the next video where we will discuss the other jetpack libraries. And this one if it's not the, so this one is a class that can call activity on start activity for result style API without having to manage request codes and converting request response to an intent. Okay, nice. So I never use this. So basically, it's look like a replacement of on activity, a start activity for result. Uh, but I think we can go back and we can explore fragment. No need to go here and there. So now, what is next? Use default transition. Then there are some static constants. Initializing attach create view created means its state. So okay, so also they have a state variable and initializing. Then they have from save state is the save state, fragment state, sparse array parse arrayable for save view state. It look like for configuration changes, this one these three looks like the, we'll see if where they are using. Then user visible hint. Then this one is something I never saw, m who, a member class member who, uuid random uid, so internal unique name for this fragment. Okay, so it means every fragment which we create that has a unique name which is called who, and who is using this, and this one is used. Wow. So internally I can see they are also adding. Okay, first we will review all the fields, construction arguments, target fragment, target who, target request code, primary navigation fragment. True if the fragment is in the list of edit fragments that I used some years ago. This one, and then removing if this fragment is being removed from its activity, being saved, and from layout set to true if this fragment was inserted from a layout file. Layout file means I think the static one, like we are writing in a XML and not we are inserting at a runtime. Set to true when the view has actually been inflated. Okay. Restore true if this fragment has been restored from previously saved state. And perform create view true if perform create view has been called and a matching call to perform destroy view has not yet been happened. Okay, so there are ton of information available, but I never used, which is bad. Number of active backstack entries this fragment is in, but I think they are not public. So once we will extend this fragment, I don't think so we can access all of them, but they are not private and not protected, so it's package level. um, so okay, then layout fragment manager. This fragment manager we associate with set as soon as the fragment is used in a transaction, cleared after it has been removed from all transactions. Then fragment host callback, then child fragment manager. So what is the difference? Both are basically fragment manager, so it means they are using the same class, and is their implementation is different. We'll see. So extends the fragment manager. Okay, another fragment, this is that. So this one is the child parent child relationship. We can figure it out. This option that I have for this fragment, either the container id if it was dynamically added to the view hierarchy, or the id supplied in the layout. Okay, then when a fragment is being dynamically added to the view hierarchy, this is the identifier of the parent container it is being added to. Okay, m tag hidden set to true when the app has requested that this fragment be hidden from the user, set to true when the app has requested that this fragment be deactivated. Okay, has menu, yeah, understandable, menu visible. User to verify that subclass is called through to the superclass. Container, the parent container of the fragment after dynamically added to the UI. Parent container. Like if I'm adding a activity, so this container is coming from the activity. We will see how we are initializing this. The view generated. I think I should go more faster. Animation info. Postponed duration runnable. What is this? Runnable, that is used to indicate if the fragment has a postponed transition that is on a timeout. Maybe we will come back to this. Hidden change, layout inflator. Yeah, this one is good. We can understand this because we use every time when we use the fragment. So the cached value from on get layout inflator bundle, that will be returned from the get layout inflator. Keep track of whether or not. I think we should go where we are going to initialize this, where we will enjoy more. So we discussed this in last video. This one is already done. Then m layout container id, atomic integer, then array list. What is this array list? Pre-attached listeners. This one is something we will try to understand. And then we also have a private abstract static class. Then saved attached listener, lifecycle owner we discussed in our last video. This one is a if fragment manager equal to null, throw illegal state exception. Pretty straightforward. This one we already discussed. Then where should we start? So we have a class state information that has been retrieved from a fragment instance through fragment manager, save fragment instance state. So this is a parcelable. This has a bundle which saved that bundle information, and then they are passing in between. Okay, then instantiation exception, when this will be called, we will see. Okay, so now here fragment constructor is called, and it's calling init lifecycle. And what is this? And also they are saying you must set a custom fragment factory if you want to use a non-default constructor to ensure that your constructor is called when the fragment is instantiating. So basically this is the second constructor, and in this case we are updating this layout with the given one. Then this, okay, so basically first this will call this, and it life cycle will be called, and then this will be called. So what is this? So this is life cycle registry related to some stuff on a life cycle. And then what happens instant. Okay, so this method is deprecated. Okay, nice. I never use this. I remember there is a new method which is given by the fragment, but I never used, and before that now that is deprecated. So deprecated, we are not going to read these deprecated methods. Restore view state. So how this work? Hierarchy view is not equal to null, perform restore. So here you can understand, if you are aware of how the lifecycle APIs worked, you can understand easily what is going on here when they are calling this. Nice. Is in backstack. So if the backstack nesting is greater than 0, it means it's yes. Then these are the default methods which you need to override, but they are passing to the super. And super here, what will be the super, because fragment class is not extends from anything, so it will be object. Yep. Then toString method, yeah, this one is always. So I remember in my one of my video we discuss toString method are pretty important, try your best to implement. So when you do the print ln any object that give you some kind of a good information. So in this case we can discuss. So first thing I really love this 128. So by doing this, what they are saying, when in a memory they will get the exact memory, and by doing this, after that any operation will be under this memory capacity. It means if they know we will never grow from the 128, there will be no extra hit. I'm not sure if you guys aware of. So internally, for example, if I try to add a character which is a 129, string builder will try to grow the memory. In that case, that will be an operation of big O of n, because that will double, and it takes time, but that is a part of a space and time complexity, and we are not going to discuss that. So what they are doing, okay, they are appending, making some good information. So when you will do, you can read all this information. Nice example. Then get id, get tag, set arguments. Fragment already added and state has been saved. So throw illegal state exception when there is already a one. Okay, nice. Then required arguments. If argument is equal to null, fragment this does not have any arguments. So this one I use sometimes when mostly I create a detail fragment kind of, where we, I'm sure there is a mandatory id for some kind of a listing. In that case, bundle should have that id. If that is the argument is null, this should be called invoked. Okay, then state saved. This one is deprecated, so we will not go there. Get target fragment, deprecated. What else? I think we can check here, because total number of lines are, it's a pretty long class, 3700. So okay, we can check this. What is this? So when we call fragment.getText and resource id, under the hood they are reusing the get resources dot get text. Nice. So basically get resources internally call the require context, and then this require context is coming from the activity, because fragment don't have a context. So then it's calling this get context, and who is giving this get context? M host is equal to null. So who is host? Host, I think we already discussed the fragment which attached. So going back to the method where we are, get not get argument, we are around get text. So this one. Now the get string is again the calling in the same way. Get resources dot get string resource id. So what is the difference between the get text and get string? Return a localized style character sequence from the applications package's default string table. Return the localized string from applications package default string table. Then this is the overloaded method. Nice. Get fragment manager. Now who initialized this? We are still trying to understand. Get parent fragment manager if equal to null. Require fragment manager. Get child fragment manager. Require parent fragment. So is added. So these are all the helper methods which mostly we used. Is deattached, is removing, is visible, is hidden. So sometimes I remember when I'm not aware of these APIs, I used to write these kind of code. Okay, I do the Stack Overflow, and then people are saying, okay, you can write in this way that the issue will be resolved. And but later I found it's pretty bad. First, every time I should jump in what APIs are available inside of that class, and most of the time I found things are already available. There is no need to create your own APIs. And then I later one day I found, okay, wow, this is already there, I should use this. Okay, hidden has option menu, set reinstance state. Okay, loader manager. I'm not sure if you ever use, so when the loader manager, I remember I used once. It's a pretty difficult way to implement cursor loaders, and also you can create your own loaders from the API. So basically the theme at that time, now it's deprecated. So when they implemented this thing, they are saying okay, it will be easier for the developer to attach with the SQLite. Main is a cursor loader, and also they give us the opportunity to create your custom loaders which are coming from the API. And under the hood there are some kind of a callbacks which we used, and we put that information directly, but there is no need to discuss this. It's a horrible API. Not horrible, but kind of, when you are working with these kind of APIs, they give you tough time. Like every time there is a new API, there is a learning curve, and once you will understand only that API, then the problem is how you will use that API with other APIs, and then you start getting a lot of issues, sometimes memory leaks, because most of the things comes work with the callbacks, because these are not the synchronous code, they are always async, and then you start getting a lot of bugs. Then start activity. So what they are saying under the hood, that is calling from the host. Start activity from fragment. Start activity for result. Request permissions on get layout. So from where they are getting this get layout, so it's coming to here. If that is null, perform get layout inflator. So what is get inflator? It is calling again the same method. What? So basically, if perform get layout inflator is called, it's calling this method, and this one is calling move the implementation in get layout inflator to here. Okay, so there is a to do. So basically they are saying okay, move this code to here. Okay, nice comment. And then, but how it's working, I don't understand. So once, okay, this is not a public method. So basically if I call this method, this will call this method, and this is going to call this method, and this is going to call this method. And okay, this one is different, so I'm confusing this with the this. So this is a get layout inflator, get layout inflator, but that has a parameter, because otherwise it's a recursive callback, it will stuck on inflate. So here we have our activity, if equal to null, then null, otherwise get the activity from a host, and then we do on inflate, and then we are giving the activity attributes, and in this case on inflate is calling this, and I'm called is equal to true. But too much stuff is deprecated. This one is deprecated, this one is a call super on attach. Okay, so maybe there we can play with. So on attach is called when a fragment is first attached to its context. And then what happened here, if there is null, it's giving the activity, and host activity, if it's not null, m called is equal to. Okay, so here they are saying true, then they are saying false, and then on attach, and they are giving passing this to this, and then again they are doing, what the hell is this? So on attach, do the true, then get, if host is already, if it's not null, do, if it's null and not null, then do this again false, then go again into the on attach, then again do the m called true, and this is deprecated, but maybe for the compatibility they take this method is still here. This looks pretty ugly and confusing. Okay, then on create animation, I'm not going to discuss animation. Then on create, again m called true, then restore child fragment, then state at least created, then dispatch create. So basically, okay, so from here, so we have an activity, for example, then I have a fragment a, and then I have a child fragment inside of a fragment a. So once the fragment a is getting this API call invoked, most probably from the activity, then this is also invoking this its child fragments. Nice. So how they are managing the life cycle. Then restore child fragment state. Not interested. Then on create view, yes, we use a lot this method. So inflated dot inflate, and who, so who is calling this method on create view? Ouch. So we can go one by one. On view created, then get view. This is mview, require view, on activity created, on view state. So this one is also deprecated. Okay, I'm not aware of that. So on activity created is all deprecated. Deprecated use and deprecated use on view create for code touching the view. Okay, so they are saying no need to use this. Use on view created. On view state code on start I'm called true. Then on resume I'm called true. Multi window change on picture and picture mode. Configuration changed. This variable is pretty, like, they're playing with the state, but it's not easier to understand. Maybe if we spend a little bit more time how this one is used, that will be good, but it's okay, we can move on. And they are all should be called on the main thread. Then on low memory, but now they have a low memory. Okay, that is a trim memory, that is separate. Then on destroy view, on destroy. Then init state. Now here they are initializing all the states, what they are doing. Life cycle previous who. Okay, on deattach, on create options, prepare options, on create context menu, request. So delegating to the activity, register for context menu, view dot set on create menu listener, and register on context menu item. Any other method which we used on everyday development? So animation, postpone enter transition, dump. What is this method? Print the fragment state into the given stream. So if you are, so in this case what they are showing us, the dump of all the states. So in this case, if for example you are doing some debugging, and you you are struggling to understand, you can call this method, and then after that you will see ton of information, and hopefully you will figure it out what you are doing wrong, or maybe not. Nice. So dump, yeah, dump is always like this. Nice. Find fragment by who. Create fragment container, new fragment container, find view by id, then view, then has view, perform attach. Now we can start seeing how they are initializing. Perform create, create view. Perform low memory, dispatch low memory. Yeah, the same. So I think everywhere they are also passing to the child fragment this information about the fragment API. Like if there is a change, then yeah, same everywhere they are passing. Perform options item selected, perform post, stop, destroy view, and any other. So I think what we can do, we can check who is calling this, for example destroy view. So that will be a good exercise. So here we have a destroy view, constant conditions. Who is calling this method? This method is called destroy fragment view. Who called this method? Destroy fragment is called fragment dot created, then destroy fragment view, and then do this. And this method is a nice move to expected state. So now there should be fragment manager. Okay, we can try inside of a fragment manager. So fragment manager is getting perform pending deferred start. So basically, as we know, we have an activity, then we initialize the fragment, and we always give that fragment to the fragment manager. So fragment manager is in between the layer which help us to attach fragments with an activity. So in this case, maybe we can read also fragment manager API, but this should be from X, yes. And this is an abstract class, nice. And then we have a, okay, so this is the implementation, have no method. So when we do add fragment, so basically we always call this add fragment. How they manage this, is there any stack internally? They are using state manager, fragment make active, then add fragment. So this is the API fragment store. And what is this fragment store under the hood? It should be array list or some, yes. So they have an array list which saved the fragments. So in case of an array list, I think the order, not I think, the order is always, when you add first it's 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. And then they also have a hash map active and save state. So in case of a, okay, they are calling clear, then how they are using, so add fragment always they check, okay, so if you add the same, that we can try, but I think no need to test, so I'm sure this will crash. And otherwise the thread management, okay, and then after that they are adding move to expect state, then it's kind of a, yeah, just like how we save information in an observable, so they have the same like of an array list inside, and then they are doing everything against that. And what else they have, so this should be dump, yep. In case of a dump, you will do, you can see a ton of information, nice. So today is a lightweight video on a fragment, but I think it's good to review this code, and maybe in future if I'm doing any struggle with any error or any exceptions, I can jump into the code first before going to the Stack Overflow, and maybe I will figure it out. I can use some kind of a method. You can also see all the methods in a structure, and that always help to understand what kind of helper methods are available here. So see you in the next video. Bye.